Hello, welcome to Microsoft Community Insights podcast, where we share insights from community experts that stay up to date with Microsoft. Today, we will dive into Copilot for Azure in VS Code, and we have a special guest joining us today called Mohammed Sami. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Mohammed Samiullah and I am from Pakistan. And my MVP categories are Azure and Developer Technologies. And I'm exploring more on the deployment side. Like we all are heading how we can use AI assistance while development, but nobody is seeing how we can actually use it in deploying. The frustrating part, like we actually build the applications, do the coding stuff, then we have to debug it, but once everything is ready we need to make it live, to make it available to everyone, but that's the actual frustration. So I've been exploring GitHub Copilot for Azure from the beginning. So it's now actually really nice, and there are built-in agents for each services that actually makes things much easier. And the point is, like, we heard about vibe coding. We might see how we can do the testing, assigning new stuff to the co-pilot and taking the feedback, working directly on the terminal and assigning tasks to co-pilot. Like it's like GitHub is now a headquarter for the agents, but actually it's completing the entire software development lifecycle from planning to deployment. Every step is handled very perfectly in GitHub itself, and we'll be seeing a demo. So without any further delay, let me take you directly to the repository, and from there we'll be seeing how we can get started directly from the GitHub by using GitHub code spaces. So you don't need to
Yeah.
install any
So
dependencies. Yeah.
before we dive into the demo, could you tell the listener audience who you are, where you're from, how long you've been MVP and stuff?
Yeah, sure. So I have been MVP like from last 2 years. I started my journey as a Microsoft student ambassador, working as a student ambassador, working with Bug Bash. You might heard about it. Bug Bash is basically Microsoft Learn team is giving us the documentation to review and give us the feedback and identify the user experience issues. So I identify the initial bugs, and I was very confused. Like it's so perfect, like each and every detail is there, but I just going through and I just stop at a point. So basically, it's a static web app development documentation where you can deploy your application from GitHub or directly to the static web app uh, by adding the zip file of your code files. So basically, what happened there, like I'm going through the steps, and there is the step that git push main, and then another step you have to select the region, the tech stack, and I got stuck for a moment. Like, is there only a main branch,
Yeah.
or we can create more branch by our own self? But if you see from the beginner perspective, you cannot assume this thing. Like there might be someone who is starting their journey from this documentation. So think like in my mind that we can actually add a node, or we can add further points. Like by default there is only a main branch, but you can create own your own branch and push the code in that branch as well. Or
So did you get started within the by reading through Microsoft documentation, and you started
yes,
just contributing, and you started just
exactly.
learning as you go?
So yeah, so basically, I am learning through the Microsoft Learn documentation modules and learning path. So I see this opportunity like it's basically a starting point at the confidence I needed to get into the industry. Because whenever I see any cloud session, whenever I see any of the technical session, it start with the Linux. Everyone is talking
Yeah.
about the Linux, and you must need the Linux, and you need to go through the Linux command. I said, okay, but cloud is not limited to Linux. Cloud is something that you need something like I need to play a game, but I don't have a good computer with these specs required to play a specific game. So what I can do, I need to buy the hardware, but I don't have enough money to go and purchase it. So what I did, I start reading it, and I feel like I can create my own virtual desktop and install the game there and install the dependencies what is required for the game. And I starting from there, like what I did, like taking my problem and solving using the technologies. Like every time I heard, I feel it's too technical, or it might be only for the enterprises or for the organizations who are doing some tech stuff. But once I identify this thing, I just give it a try and I create my own virtual machine and install the game on it, and like I get
Yeah.
the free credits actually. So I play the game for a month actually, because I have a free tier available, and like $100. So it's actually a good thing, and even I can shut down my own machine. So I implement the entire concept in a fun way that might be our audience could
Yeah.
be a student or could be starting their tech journey. So it's not like you need to go through a lot of technical stuff, or you can see like if you want to do something and you feel there is a constraint or you cannot get started with it. So there is a stuff that you can actually use for your own self, for your personal use. Might be you want to play a game, might be you want to build your university project. So this is a best way to get started. And I was exploring these stuff and the bug bash, which was I telling before. So that is a thing that I get the clarity. Like I was very confused at that time. Like to learn the cloud, I need to first master the Linux and the commands, and then I can deep dive into the Linux. But once I start exploring, what I did, I just enter into the Azure, get the free credits, and create my own virtual desktop. And I feel like there is something missing which not everyone is telling us. And in tech stuff, they are not letting us know that we can actually use for our personal use. Like they are telling the very great stuff, but not the point that is actually the needed for students. And then the point
Yeah.
click, once day I was sitting in the library, and I feel like the entire cloud is working on the library model. Like I have a timings of libraries from 9 to 5, and anytime I can get into the library and read the book I want. And it is not my own book, I can read as much as I can, and there is no restriction. But there is one restriction: I have to leave the library before the library closes. So that's actually happening in the cloud. And then I get a chance to work with the Microsoft Learn team and write the Microsoft modules, and I introduce this concept, and they are like, wow, we never think from this perspective. Like if beginners starting their journey, and they just get to know, oh, it's like a library. And the pay as you go model. So basically, the pay as you go model is like you are borrowing a book from the library, and if you are not
Yeah.
returning the book on the time, you have to pay a fine, day wise or might be weekly wise, but you have to pay a minimal fee. Similarly, if your free tier or your required time period exceeded, you have to pay for it. So that
Yeah.
actually,
That's similar to Azure credits. When it
yeah,
expire, then you just have to pay. Correct.
exactly.
I think what you did before was just try to make the learn module fun to learn, so make it more interactive uh, by just doing and practice first, and just customize it to what you want to do.
Yes, so this is a thing that I started from the bug bash where I identify the bugs. Then media services team reach out to me. I give them a feedback on that thing. Then Microsoft Learn team reach out to me. Like there is a different opportunities coming up in student ambassador program, and I taking them as a actually an opportunity, because
Nice.
I don't know in
Yeah.
UK, but you might had to get a job you need an experience, but to
Yeah, we do.
to gain the experience you need a job. And this is a never ending cycle, and I feel like how we can break this cycle. Like how can I get into the industry and I start working in these stuff, and I feel actually exciting. And I made a lot of stuff and introducing cloud in a way that even everyone is like, oh, we didn't think in this way. Like it's actually so easy. Like we think we need to learn a lot of stuff and we need to add the cards, because in other clouds we need to add the card details and then we can start using the free tier. But in Azure, this is the best thing for a student. You just need a student email, and you just need go and there and get the credits without adding the any card details. So that's how my journey started, and I get exciting in the cloud journey. And I that's how, like, I'm a cloud engineer now. I'm working as a solution engineer at Mazik Global.
Okay.
So actually I'm working in this stuff, how we can make stuff simpler, and how the teams can get most of it, instead of thinking from a very complex perspective, how we can make the thing simplify and build a solutions. Like, everyone need a cost effective solution, but if you understand your requirement clearly, so that's where we can cut out the cost without reducing any other of the services. So that's my role, and that's how my journey started, and still I'm
Okay.
working in.
So your journey started has being curious about Microsoft documentation, implementing it, making it fun, giving feedback, and then get introduced to student ambassador, Microsoft student ambassador, and then later you're an MVP, AI MVP.
Yes.
Okay.
No, Azure and developer technologies.
Azure on DevTech, apologies.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a fascinating journey. So, do you think all those you in through your journey does that help you find a job, or is it more of a
Yes.
hands-on than that help you get the role?
So basically, this experience helped me in cracking the job, because whenever I applied, I shared my GitHub issues links with
Yeah.
the email. I tell them that I have worked for the Microsoft. I have identified the things for the Microsoft, and here are the links. Here are the module that I write with the Microsoft Learn team, and they were actually so curious to learn how I did this thing, and that's how I get get into the interview. And instead of asking about the job and roles, they first ask me how you are doing all this stuff, and I am telling them, and they are get so excited, like, wow, like they are actually get so curious, and they were like, so would you like to join, like, how. That's how I like. And when I was in final year, I secured my first internship, and still now like I switched four jobs, and I applied every time I wrote this stuff, and everyone is so curious, like they are actually get to know, and they want to improve their departments actually, so their team works in a way, so they don't get frustrated or stressed out. Instead, they get liking the stuff what they are doing. So that's how the best part, that I never get need to prepare for the interview or any specific uh,
Yeah,
job role.
that's amazing because you can see that the employer want you before the interview itself because they're asking more about your what you're doing, how you're contributing as well. So that's very important to actually vital to actually contribute to Microsoft or any contribution to help people learn.
Yeah. Student ambassador program is also changed their application process. So now there is no
Yeah,
application process. You can just go and sign up and get started with doing the certain
yeah,
tasks and become the
that's
ambassador.
that's amazing. So most student can become a student ambassador, and then that might be a route to become an MVP. That might be a route to be able to start your uh help start your journey into maybe find a job as well. Because I see lots of employers are doing boot camp to get people training up as well.
Yes.
And so, okay. So back to our topic of the session, Copilot for Azure. You said you have some demos.
Yeah,
So
I
before
have.
we dive into the Copilot for Azure, have you been using it at work? So what's your opinion about it?
About AI?
No, Copilot for Azure, sorry.
Copilot for Azure. Okay. So first, like, the thing is, like, the common point that we all face, that we need to switch the screens. Like, I actually get frustrated, like opening each and every window and searching about the documentation. But like, Copilot itself have the functionality where you can learn while developing. That's the concept where I get started, and as I my journey is on more of the cloud side, so I'm exploring from the cloud perspective. Actually, is it helpful in working with cloud or not, or how much we can start working with it? So once you are done with the development, you might be looking for the deployment options. And as a student, uh, we might have to deploy our application on the like first semester project, most probably. Yeah, once we get into the university, and for the tech students, we get a project where we have to deploy our application, and from there I start looking into the things, and I start searching from a very beginner perspective. Like, I am a student, I don't know about the tech and the deployment stuff. I just asking the stupid question from the Copilot, and it actually helping me. Like, you can check out this service. I said I don't have credits. How can I get the credits? So I get to know about Microsoft for startups credits. Like, if I don't have any Azure account, so I can sign up using using the Microsoft for startups, and I get the $1,000 credits. So if you are building a final year project, or get wanted to build a minimal viable product, so you can use Microsoft for startups credit. But getting to telling you, if your student email ID is not working out, in some cases it doesn't work or you get stuck, so you can check out the Microsoft for startups credit. And from there, I search asking about the questions, like, this is my project, how can I deploy it? Asking straightforwardly. Then it give me the options. You have these options. Then I ask, what is the simple option I can deploy? And secondly, I ask, what if I want to make a changes in my application, and it automatically, like, CI/CD pipeline setting up. So I need to ask each and every stuff. But if you are using a portal, you are as your user, and you know about deploying application using Azure portal, so you can directly sign up on GitHub using Azure portal, and the CI/CD pipelines set it up. But while using GitHub Copilot for Azure, you need uh, to inform the Copilot explicitly that you need this feature, that automatically changes are detected and deployed on the application. So these are the things that I start looking into, and from there I start working on the stuff, like basic HTML website, then the React application, then the Angular, and then moving forward, using API app service. Like, this is the first one I get to know about. Like, normally we need to build an API for our backend services, and it takes time, or we might
Yeah.
need to use fast API or other APIs, RESTful APIs, to connect our backend. But I find out there is a API app, and that sounds like really, like, I got curious what actually it is. So it's like web, like, you deploy your web application, it is visible on the browser. So similarly, you can deploy your backend as simple as you deploying your static web application, and then you
Okay.
can use that URL as an API, and it actually works well. But yes, you need to set the networking option, that it actually only listen to the front end application. It is not publicly open, so so then it will be a secure way to use it. But telling you a ways that I learned from the Copilot itself, like, it's
That's
actually saving
amazing.
my time and helping me in
Yeah.
identifying the service that actually saving my time. And it's actually so easy that now I don't need to wait for days to make my application live and connect the backend and doing the troubleshooting.
Yeah.
It's like, simply I can connect backend with my front end and make it live, and it start
Yeah,
handling
it's
the
the same.
traffic.
It's like you stay in VS Code. You don't need to go to another portal and keep switching tab. It's like, should we show some demo and to everyone
Yeah.
about what it is? Let me just,
So this is a repository that I made in my university time. So I was working on it and trying to update it. As you can see, that 2 years ago that I deployed this application on Azure Static Web App. Then I want to make some changes on my application to make it updated. So what I did, like, again, we'll be going through the every latest feature of GitHub code spaces. So we are not using locally not cloning it, we are directly opening our repository uh, on the browser. So I already open it. So you can simply create the code spaces on any of the branch. Currently, it is created on the main branch, and you can create a new code space just clicking on the plus, and it will create a new branch for you. So this is an amazing thing, and here you can see I don't need to wait to clone it and need to install the dependencies. Actually, I don't need to install any dependency in this application because it is simple HTML, CSS, JavaScript application. So here you can see the VS Code on the browser. I don't need to install or set up anything on my local system. It open up on the browser, and here you can see uh, Copilot chat is open, and let me show you a bit about the project so you might get to know what actually inside this repository.
So it's a foodie restaurant.
Yeah, so
Uh,
basically I built 2 years back in my university time,
nice.
and so it's basically a template, anyone can use it. It's an open source tool. So basically it has a simple functionality. You can place order by using add to cart functionality, allow you to add comments, subscribe to newsletter. And yeah, this is what we this is something that took me around a month to build, but now after the Copilot I make the changes within minutes, like to make it responsive, to make it screen size responsive.
Yeah, it's
But it,
amazing you can do with Copilot.
yeah, like the things that back take around a month to build a complete project, now it's happening like in few minutes. So these are the like basic site I can show you on localhost. So here you can see it's a simple website where you can place an order. Like we have a lot of or burgers, sandwiches, beverages, and normally you can simply like see the notification, and here is the checkout. So this is a thing that I built, but now I want to deploy this application using Azure.
Give Copilot for Azure. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, GitHub Copilot for Azure. So here we will be seeing few things first. Like we can trigger Azure directly by writing @Azure and asking any question about the Azure. Sorry, asking any question about the deployment of our project. So we'll be asking directly by adding Azure to our chat and asking, how can I deploy my project to Azure? And let's see.
This is for those who don't know. You can also to get started with this. You can there's an extension called Give Copilot for Azure. You can install that, and you'll get the all those like features that Mohammed is showing you as well.
Yes, I already set up, installed the extension, so I am just getting started from the chat. But from here, you can go to the extensions and search for GitHub Copilot for Azure. So, so here you can see. From here, you can install it directly, and you also need to sign into your Azure account to start using it. So if you give this chat, I already sign in to the Azure account. But once you give your a prompt, so it will ask you to sign in first, and then you can start using the GitHub Copilot for Azure. So yeah, these are the steps that you need to follow to get started with it. So okay, we get the chat from the Azure. So So what it's suggesting: to deploy your project to Azure, you have several developer focused options, including Azure Developer CLI, Bicep, Terraform, all of which integrate well with the VS Code and Linux environment. So please specify your preferred deployment method and know if you recommend based on your project type. So here you can see we get a very generic response, as our application is not like something where we need like we definitely it will build using the Bicep, but from a beginner perspective and for the students who are trying out this thing for the first time, so what we can do, we can make it further easy by giving the context. So I simply open the readme file, and by you adding the readme file to our chat, so it will getting the context from our project, what actually it is. So we will be telling the Azure like it is a simple HTML CSS JS project. Tell me is simplest option to deploy the application. So now we get the actually a very specific response based on our project, because last time we asked, we get a generic response from the Azure, but now we are asking specific question about our project and telling uh, the Azure about our project. So here you can see the simplest and most cost effective way to deploy a static project like foodie restaurant to Azure is using Azure Static Web App, which offer free hosting, easy integration with GitHub for CI/CD, simple configuration. So these are the basic steps that you need to follow. You might give it a try before, or you might be exploring after this session. So please keep it in mind that you need to give a context. Like if you are working with your friend, you need to tell your friend what actually we are working on, what is the tech stack, or what is your preference. Then accordingly it will help you out. Or if you are working with your mentor or with your teacher, they might ask you the question. So here you can see the difference between the prompts that I give up basic instructions, what actually we want to build, and what actually our requirement, and we get the option. So here you can see we have some quick messages that we can give to the GitHub Copilot for Azure. So we can ask further question: is there a way to deploy directly from VS Code? How do I set up a static website in Azure for my project? Can I deploy my HTML CSS project to Azure without using CLI? So let's ask this question and see what we get. So it takes some time, but like few seconds, and it's actually going through the entire project and then giving you the response. So you might need to see a few minutes delay, or might be this is because of the selected LLM model. Currently we are using Claude Sonnet to get the best response, and it's worked well. Like in development, it worked well as well in the deployment. So yes, you can deploy your project to Azure without using the command line, by using the extension which provided a guided UI based deployment experience directly from your editor. And here you can see you are getting the instructions here. That is the documentation link. So you, even if you are a learner or just want to play with it, this is a best way. Like you are actually experimenting and getting the documentation side by side. So we get the documentation link, but we want that as your deployer application. So let me show you few further things over here. You might know about three of the modes of Copilot, which are agent, ask, and plan. But when you install the GitHub Copilot for Azure, you get some further agents that is specific to the services, specific like deploy to Azure, Lambda to function migration, and even you can create your own custom agent as well. But this is a new thing that actually introduced, and this is actually a fun. Like if I open deploy to Azure file, oh, it doesn't open. So you can actually give it a read. You can read it out what actually written in this agent file. So here you can see you are in the deploy to Azure chat mode. Your goal is to help the user deploy the necessary resources to Azure and configure them in production ready state. And you can read like it whenever it deploy directly, it generate infrastructure as code, which is the bicep or the using the Terraform, and then it deploys directly. With if you just want to we say wipe code, and if we talk about the deployment, so if you want to wipe deploy the application, so it write the code for your infrastructure and then it deploy your code. So these are the basic steps, but as we are deploying our application with the minimalistic efforts, because we are running also, uh, we have time, right?
Yeah, yeah, we do. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask how we can deploy using VS Code. Like we get the documentation and we'll ask, is there a way to deploy directly from VS Code without using the terminal? So let's ask it.
So you can use GitHub Copilot for Azure the same way to use GitHub Copilot. So if you know how to use GitHub Copilot, you can still use. You know how to use GitHub Copilot for
Yes.
Azure. It's just very similar.
Yeah, yeah. You don't need additional thing. You just need one more extension, and you can use it in the same way that you are using it for the development purpose, GitHub Copilot. So without using the same response, okay. So let's go straight forward and ask the Azure just deploy my application to Azure Static Web App Service.
Have
So
you been
let's
using GitHub Copilot for Azure at work as well? Or
yes, I
okay.
use it like not in the production, but yeah,
Yes.
mostly in testing. I use it, and it actually helps a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
So here you can see we are getting the instructions, but we want that our application actually get deployed without the manual intervention. So what we will be doing, we'll be switching to the agent, normal GitHub Copilot, and we'll ask and let Copilot select the best model for our deployment. So I leave it on everything on the default, and now I will ask GitHub Copilot. Now we are not like uh, using Azure directly. Now we'll ask GitHub Copilot to deploy. So we'll see without any mental intervention how GitHub Copilot can actually do this. So here you can see that I get back to the chat, so you can manage the chats as well. Uh, and even as we don't do any changes, so it not safe in our chats. If you do the changes in the code, so you can see there are the tabs that will be seeing in few minutes. You can switch between the chats, like you can use it for a planning, you can use it for the development purpose, and then you can use for the deployment purpose. So it is easy, because GitHub Copilot has the memory feature that is actually really helpful. You don't need to tell Copilot every time what you need or what you are working on.
Episode is coming to an end. How did you? I would recommend everyone to just quickly get started with Copilot for Azure, or it's try it on. It's very hands on. So like Mohammed did, just try to deploy something.
Uh,
Any last minute you want to say to anyone that want to learn Copilot for Azure?
yeah, so the most important thing while working with Copilot, you need to be patient. You need to be very calm, because sometimes it make a lot of mess, and it it feels like things are getting out of the hands. But you can actually handle with the Copilot that mess. Like it might not get your point, so you can give it a try again and again. And once everything online, and the best way to do this stuff is to write down an entire document by your own self. Write down the steps, what you want to do step by step, and then start giving the prompt to Copilot, and then you will get the not 100% accurate result, but yes, you will get most of the right. And then you can go in a flow, and then you can deploy your application. Then the more important thing that we always learn the best practice of from, don't give a generic instruction to Copilot, or don't say like build an entire application. Build step by step, and then you will be getting the result. Because if you are building a web application, you can build page by page, and then you can do the further changes, do the responsiveness part, and then you can do the deployment. So the best way is to write down your instructions, write down what you are actually planning, what you are actually expecting from the Copilot, and then start working on it. But the best part, you can always give it a try and get into the mess, because nothing is getting out of your hands. Like this is a part
Yeah,
of the learning, and that's how we
yeah.
learn and
Plus,
experiment.
I think you can probably use GitHub Copilot instruction files for it as well to set
Yes.
specific. So before we end the episode, is there anything you want to say, Mohammed?
I want to say just keep trying, keep learning, and keep failing. Once you give it a try, definitely you will gain the experience that is actually needed. And that's how my journey started. I fail a lot. Like I wrap up my entire journey in few minutes, but that's actually takes an year. And then I get to know, okay, what I'm doing wrong, what I don't have to do. And that's how journeys goes on, and you're still learning. And the
Yeah,
same thing
amazing.
for the
Yeah,
Copilot as well.
yeah. So learning never stops. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.